If you're in your 60s or 70s, and even some folks in their 50s, plaque and calcium are almost certainly building inside your arteries right now. And that's a problem, because this buildup doesn't announce itself. You don't feel it, you don't hear it, you don't see it. It builds quietly for years, and the dangerous kind, the plaque without calcium, can rupture without any warning at all. That's the heart attack nobody saw coming, the one that seems to strike out of nowhere in people who looked perfectly fine the day before. Now, there's a 50-cent vitamin, vitamin K2, that recent evidence shows can slow artery calcium buildup by nearly a third. Sounds great, right? But before you run to your favorite supplement store and grab a bottle off the shelf, there's a catch. Because the calcification in your arteries is not one simple thing. There are mostly two kinds, and they're nearly opposites, and one of them may actually be protecting you, which means a low calcium score isn't automatically good news, and a high one isn't automatically bad. I'm sorry to be a little confusing here, but I didn't create this reality. I'm just reporting on it, and I'm helping you understand it so you can do what you need to protect your own health. So in this video, I'm going to show you what K2 really does inside your body, which kind of calcification you're most likely building, and by the end, my straight answer, no dancing around it, on whether you should actually take it. Before we get into this new and honestly exciting study, let me tell you what vitamin K2 actually is. It's a fat-soluble vitamin. Your body uses it to manage calcium, where the calcium goes, and just as importantly, where it doesn't go. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, why is it called K2? Because vitamin K is all about blood clotting. Vitamin K2, isn't that the same family? It's about calcium, so why did it get that name? Because when it was first discovered, it looked very much like vitamin K1. That's why you see it labeled as K2. It's really just a historical artifact, a leftover from how it was found. K2 comes in a few forms, but the ones you'll actually see on a supplement label are one of two, MK4 and MK7. Both are good. MK7 is usually considered by most people to be the one with more evidence behind it for helping arteries, and that's because it stays in your bloodstream longer and does steadier work over time. So the assumption is it's going to be better, and therefore more studies were done on it. But don't write off MK4, especially if it's at the right dose. Because of that greater number of studies, MK7 is the form we're talking about today. Now, you've probably heard the simple pitch on K2. It pulls calcium out of your artery walls and moves it into your bones where it belongs, right? Well, there's some truth to that. K2 does switch on a protein that helps tell calcium where to go. But that's not really the whole story, and it's nowhere near as simple as arteries bad, bones good. Hold on to that thought, because it's the key to everything I'm about to show you. Here's the study that started all the noise. It's called the VIT-K2-CAC trial. Researchers took 167 people who already had heart disease, most of them already on a statin. They gave half of them MK7 at 360 micrograms a day, and the other half a sugar pill for 2 full years. Now notice that dosage, 360 micrograms. And think back on most supplement dosages you see on the shelf, usually 100 micrograms. Those 100 microgram doses are simply not adequate. I've been saying that for years now. If you look at the studies that actually had a real impact, they're almost always 300 micrograms or more. Anyhow, back to this study. Here's what happened. The placebo group watched their calcium score climb from 145 up to 214. The K2 group, they climbed slower. It still went up, but from 135 up to 184, that's about 29–30% less calcium buildup, and I'm not going to wave that away. That's significant, that matters, but here's the first catch that the headline conveniently skips over. Both groups still calcified, nobody's plaque disappeared, and this study measured a number on a scan. It was never built to count a single heart attack, stroke, or death. So the honest headline shouldn't read a vitamin reversed heart disease. It's really a vitamin slowed one number on a scan. But to know whether slowing that number is good news or bad news, you've got to understand what the calcium is actually doing inside the wall. And this is where almost everybody gets it completely wrong, because we talk about calcification like it's one single thing, and it just isn't. It's a little more complicated than that. Sorry to have to tell you, but again, I'm just reporting the facts. And you do need to know these things in order to take proper care of your own health. There are two kinds of calcification, and they're nearly opposites. The first is small, scattered, patchy calcium, tiny specks sitting inside young, angry, inflamed plaque. That kind puts stress right where the wall is thinnest, so it makes the cap even more likely to crack open, and obviously that's the dangerous kind of calcification. The second is big, dense, solid calcium, thick and hard, like scar tissue over a wound that's already healed. That kind is usually the artery sealing off an old injury, settling it down, walling it away, protecting you. So keep this in mind. The calcium was never really the enemy. The inflammation underneath that calcium is the true enemy. And that big, solid calcification can actually be a sign that the worst part has already passed. We've been saying this for years, too. Don't assume that more calcium means you're in worse shape. Often, more calcium means you're cleaning up, putting that inflammation and that risk safely away. The next thing to understand is, what is it that decides which kind of calcification you get? That's exactly where your brain should be going. And a big part of it is how you live. Lifestyle. We've said it over and over. Supplements and medications, yes, they can help, but lifestyle is king and queen in this play. Unhealthy calcification, the small, patchy, dangerous kind, it shows up in the person eating a poor diet, living on processed carbs, barely moving. That's the inflamed environment where soft plaque festers and those dangerous specks form. Healthy calcification, the dense, stabilizing kind, that shows up in men and women doing the opposite. They're cutting the processed carbs, they're eating enough protein, lifting, moving their bodies, they're sleeping well. When you calm the whole system down, the plaque you already have can settle down, it hardens and walls itself off. So a high calcium score isn't automatically bad news. In a man who's living right, or a woman who's living right, it means the body already did the hard work of locking down that old damage, that risk. The score counts the scars, but it can't tell you which wounds are still open, and that's the real problem. This is bigger than a number on a printout. Men and women watching this still have people leaning on them, depending on them. Wives, husbands, grandkids, a church that needs them upright and useful, companies that need their contribution, a whole community that continues to rely on you. So it's worth getting this right, instead of settling for a scan that only tells you half the truth. Here's the good news. Vitamin K2 can still help heal your plaque, just not the way the headline sells it, because plaque doesn't only heal by getting harder, it also heals by getting quieter. When the inflammation drops, the cap over the plaque grows thicker, and the muscle cells in the wall lay down collagen and reinforce it. It's like putting new studs behind a weak wall. That's your body making a plaque far less likely to rupture without adding a single speck of calcium. So here's where K2 fits. We already said it helps direct calcium deposits, but the more interesting thing is that the reason it helps is metabolic. K2 appears to improve insulin sensitivity. So all this time you've been hearing that K2 magically goes in and pulls calcium out of your arteries and drops it in your bones. K2 is totally incapable of doing that. That's not what's happening. K2 is impacting insulin resistance, and it's doing it upstream. It's the upstream fire that we're calming here. That's the fire that drives the inflammation that turns plaque unstable in the first place. So if K2 is helping you, it's probably calming that inflammatory metabolic fire, not editing your calcium score. That's exactly why we use it the way we do at PrevMed, as an add-on that supports the foundation, never as the foundation itself, because it just can't be the foundation. The foundation is the work that changes your whole system. The food, the movement, the exercise, the legwork, the sleep, the stress management, the metabolic health, the lifestyle. And to learn more about all of this, be sure to grab my free ebook. It covers this in depth, including what to test for and the lifestyle to follow to avoid a heart attack. The link is in the description. It's completely free. So here's my straight answer on whether you should take vitamin K2. For men and women generally working to heal their arteries, yes, I, Dr. Ryan Foster, do recommend K2, and I'm going to say it again. I don't recommend the 100 or 200 micrograms you see on most pills. You want 300 to 400 micrograms of K2 a day. I also recommend it as an add-on to the real work, not as a shortcut, and never as a way to chase a lower score. Because a lower calcium score doesn't automatically mean lower risk. It usually means the opposite. Once you have a calcium score, it's going to go up as you calcify that soft plaque you didn't pick up on the original scan. So people will get a calcium score, they'll get motivated, they'll get scared, they'll say, I'm going to clean up my act, and they will improve dramatically. Then they'll go back and get another calcium score. And what do you think happens? It's not that the calcium score drops, it does the opposite. The calcium score goes up because your K2 and most of all your lifestyle have cleaned up your metabolic risk. Now your body is finally able to heal those plaques, and as part of healing them, the calcium score goes up because you're calcifying that soft plaque that was causing the risk in the first place. So if you get your act together and improve your lifestyle, lose some weight, make real improvements in your metabolic health, don't assume your calcium score is automatically going to go down. It does occasionally, but very, very rarely. Usually that calcium score is going to go up. So don't let a number fool you into thinking the job is done. There's one more thing you shouldn't skip. Nothing I just described. The inflammation, the soft plaque, the thickness of the cap, none of it shows up on a calcium score. That scan counts hard calcium, but goes completely blind to everything else. It doesn't see the soft plaque. For that you need a CIMT, which measures the artery wall directly. And to truly see what's in there, you need a CT angiogram read with AI, artificial intelligence. We don't guess at this, we measure it, we know what plaque looks like, we know which plaque is dangerous, and we know how to help you get where you need to be. Now, there's one last thing that decides whether K2 or any of this actually helps you. A scan by itself will never show it. It's the reason two people can walk in with the exact same calcium score and walk out with completely different futures, completely different risk profiles, and it'll change what you do the very next morning. So if you've been staring at a single number, wondering what's really going on, what is this telling me, that's exactly what we do at PrevMed. Give our clinic a call to discuss your care plan or the care plans we can offer you. We can customize exactly what you need, or click the link in the description below to book a time with our team. We'll go through whether we're even the right fit for you, and then, if you join, which tests you actually need based on you, your history, and your specific situation. If this is the kind of straight talk you want more of, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to see how we actually find that soft, hidden plaque, the kind of calcium score misses completely, watch this next video on the tests that discover it and measure it directly. So again, growing old, it's not for sissies. I know, I've been at this a long time myself, but it's a whole lot healthier, a whole lot easier, and a whole lot better when you've got healthy arteries. Take care of them now, and your future self, and everyone who depends on you, will thank you for it.